to say about this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that this kind of lesson is best learned when the student is in the middle of it. All right. That oftentimes I will drone on and on about the Dhamma to a student who's dutifully getting it in, and then they step right into it. And now is the time to actually explain it in better detail. Okay, because we've gone over this information before, but now we're going to go over it in the sense of the right way to look at it is, and you can see this from sociology also, is that when someone starts using a particular set of words or vocabulary, then it's my job to come in and use those same words or vocabulary and give them slightly different definitions and ways of looking at it and other things like that. Okay, and so we got to the point when you were describing things, and then you hit my keyword, you hit the button. And that button is boredom. That's the word. Okay? Because if you'll think about it, boredom is actually, we're looking for something to do. In fact, we'd already talked about that. You were looking for excitement. Why? Because you want something to catch up to your boredom. Now, let me define that because that sounds strange. Basically, what boredom is that it's just another way of talking about restlessness.
Mm-hmm.
A good example of it is that on a road trip, the children are in the back seat of the car, and one of them says, "Mom, I'm bored." What does mom do? She gives them something to do to occupy the mind. She may start gasping in great surprise at something that she's looking at out the window to get the children to refocus rather than having to deal with their boredom.
Uh-huh.
Because basically what's really going on is that boredom is a kind of feeling, but that feeling has the quality of restlessness in it, and that it actually has bodily chemistry things going on with it. In other words, there is a new set of chemicals in the body that's different than when I'm at peace or at rest versus when I'm bored, because I'm in fact now restless. And so we can look at, well, what kind of chemicals make us restless? The answer is, ta-da, adrenaline. Adrenaline is literally the drug that gets us all dressed up for a fight with no fight to get into. All dressed up and no place to go. That's what adrenaline does to us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so we get restless. We want to do something. And then we say it's boredom or I'm bored. Well, really what's going on, this boredom is that we want something. It's a longing, and in many cases, this longing is for an activity, an excitement, something to occupy the mind because it feels uncomfortable and happy to have that mind wandering all around the place, grabbing for something and can't find anything to grasp onto. This is what we call the wandering mind, the restless mind.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you spent a lot of your life with that. But now we're going to deal with this in different ways. And a lot of it has to do with the restlessness, or the boredom, comes out of our worldview that often says you should be doing something anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that worldview is often, let us say, spoken and voiced in the language of our childhood. Whoever we heard when we were children to give us that stuff, that's how we learn it. In psychology, when I was studying, because of the let us say the technology of the day, we would use expressions like playing the old tapes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do we mean by playing the old tapes? Well, in the days when we had cassettes and magnetic tape and reel to reel, that's how things were recorded. And so when we play the old tapes, what that means is that mentally we have recorded something and then we play it back.
Mm-hmm.
And when we play that back, it's played back as a world view, which has to do with what all the shoulds and oughts and ought to be's and everything like that. But through your practice and study of the Buddha Dhamma, you begin to understand. Wait a minute, I don't need to occupy or satisfy the restlessness. The better thing to do is to come and rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
To not be grasping after something and getting something.
Mm.
Okay, and so this gives us, um, let us say, the segue or the opening into this use of the word view. Because normally, when someone has a world view, that means that it's actually a narrow minded world that they're viewing.
Mm-hmm.
To where, when we're talking about the Buddha's view, a bright, noble view of Samadhi, this view is in fact an expansive view or a wide open view,
Mm-hmm.
a more generalized view, which makes it very difficult to pin down a world view with it. But in fact, what this is that this is the view of all of these world views.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And so we can see all of these world views that people have, and that this is, in fact, the way that in Buddhism we would talk about it compassion, of being able to understand someone's worldview. But now, within the context of ordinary world view about compassion, is that you have to feel what that person is feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I have to, in fact, the word compassion means exactly that, to feel with someone.
Mm-hmm.
But right noble view is a different kind of compassion because we can see really truly what's going on, but we don't have to feel bad
Mm-hmm.
while we do it. We don't have to join into that feeling, that we can stay outside of that and choose to feel the way that we want to feel. And so this is really where right view, noble right view comes into play with compassion, is because we really can see how much that person suffers, but I don't have to pick it up and eat it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, with that, this is a new kind of a world view. And the kind of new world view is don't have any world views.
Yeah.
Or we could also go so far as to say that a lot of the worldview is also belief.
Yeah.
Well, that's another way of saying it then is I don't believe in belief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That let's not, I believe in investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And when the investigation is done, then we see correctly and we have knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And knowledge is not belief.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right. Not, in fact, what belief means is speculation. To where the word opinion means a particular viewpoint,
Yeah.
to opine on a particular point of view. But really, the way that we should look at it is from the perspective of the Dhamma, which is actually quite expansive. So, back to this point about then boredom. Is the boredom comes from a world view, and that a better world view would be the world view of, hey, everything is okay already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is actually the worldview of the Buddha, is uh, to be happy, to be joyful, that everything is all right. We don't have to fix anything. Now, this means that these young people who are looking for excitement to get over their boredom will find all kinds of things. I mean, this is in fact why there is a Disneyland.
Mm.
If people were not bored, if there was no such thing as boredom, people would not have the desire to go to Disneyland or any other amusement park. That all of us, in fact, would act just like the old lady when she's on the roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
The old lady, they say, "Granny, did you enjoy the ride?" And she says, "All I was trying to do is make sure I didn't lose my purse. I wasn't here for the ride. I was here because you put me on this thing, and now all I've got to do is keep throwing on my purse. I don't care." But the kids are looking for excitement.
Yeah. Mm.
They're looking for the thrill. And so basically, then, the whole aspect of the Dhamma is to recognize that, in fact, excitement is not the same thing as happiness.
Mm.
The example that I would give would be that one is lost in the desert. We're very thirsty, and we're going over one sand dune after another, not sure whether we can get over the next one. And then we go over one, and lo and behold, right in front, down at the bottom of the hill, it's not a mirage. It's a real oasis with actual palm trees, a tent or two, maybe a camel, even a girl in one of those belly dancing costumes. And so here I am at the top of the hill, and I run down towards that um, oasis, knowing that I'm going to quench my thirst. That's the excitement, the anticipation I'm going to get what I most need right now. But then we drink the water. And after we drink the water, we roll over and relax
Mm-hmm.
because it's the satiation of having gotten filled is the real happiness. And the running down the hill to get that oasis, that's only more excitement, anticipation. It's kind of the knowledge that I'm going to get what I want. But that's not the same thing as getting it.
No. Mm-hmm.
This is, in fact, why we're practicing Anapanasati exactly the way that we're doing it. This is a very key ingredient about dukkha. Dukkha is, in fact, wanting something we don't have.
Mm.
So when we get it, then there's no dukkha. So let's make sure that what we want we can get right away,
Yeah.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
And by being able to get it, and what is it? A deep breath and a clean mind and a moment of joy.
Oh, yeah.
But when the boredom comes, what that means is that the mind is now out chasing around with no real object to grasp hold of.
Mm. Oh.
The Buddha, in fact, used an example of that with the dog. Now, it didn't in the sutta say what condition the dog was in, but I imagine that it's a particular, or it was a typical Indian dog of the day, which meant that it was covered with mange and sores and all of that. So this dog lays down, but then he doesn't lay down and stay down, but he starts to nibble and bite, and then he gets up and he runs around in a small circle around the place that he did, and then he lays back down. But he doesn't lay down and rest. He lays down and he nibbles a bit, and then he gets up and he runs around in the circle again. And so he chases around, finding the right way to do it, and then he lays down, still no rest.
Mm.
And the Buddha says, "Oh monks, this is the mind. That it's better for the dog, because if the dog is in fact sore when he's laying down, and sore when he's biting, and sore when he's chasing around, then getting up and chasing around is not solving the sore. That the dog would be much better off if the dog would just merely lay down and at least have some peace and quiet, some rest. Okay, but here we are as human beings because of some dissatisfaction, some sore in our life. We keep getting up and chasing around it rather than just dealing with it. And this is, in fact, the whole quality, that dog is the restless mind. That we could, in fact, just lay down. The answer is, oh, but we have to change our view about things. Because our old view was the way I deal with boredom, for instance, which could be the soreness in this case, is that we used to chase, we were looking for excitement. We were looking for an answer or something to occupy the mind, something to fix the mind on. Well, okay, let's just do that, but let's do it directly. Rather than looking for something to attach it to, we already know that we've got something that's really worth attaching to, and that's attaching to the breath. So let's take the mind and attach it to and focus it on the breath and not let it wander around so much. And just let it come to peace. To settle down and to not have the thoughts just jumping all over the place. And so we begin to direct the thought, and that direction of the thought is to the present moment, to what's happening right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think in my experience, at least a long time ago when I did that, when I started the meditation long ago, when I got to the point where I was sitting and I was kind of still, it was usually a huge kind of fear coming over me, emptiness. There was some emptiness in the wrong way, and filled with fear, and that kind of I couldn't get rid of that. I can do that now, but it was so overwhelming many times that I
Oh,
just
should have called me way back then. We would have talked.
yes. but I stayed. I kind of met it, so I kept doing that. I kept doing it, but it was quite painful sometimes. So, but it's not like that nowadays.
Part of the world view is the world is dangerous.
Yeah.
Right noble view is no, fear is an internal mechanism.
Yeah.
It's an underlying tendency.
Yeah.
It's an instinct.
Yeah.
The
But actually,
self-preservation instinct. Once we understand that, then we can deal with fear because the world's not dangerous.
yeah,
This is
my world actually was dangerous at that time. I had put myself into dangerous situations, so it actually was
looking
dangerous.
for excitement often brings danger.
Exactly. Yeah, in all the wrong ways. But it was, and I didn't quite know how to get out of it. I just trusted the process, so to speak. And I know it kind of, I got this benefit immediately. So I knew there was something in there. But it was a very difficult at first to start to find out about all of this, but I really had, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. So I had the reward, the benefit, or in the moment. So
I know. Isn't it marvelous? Isn't
yeah.
it remarkable how so many meditators do not get any benefit out of it, but they struggle on anyway?
Okay.
But
Yeah.
you and I are different. Hey, man, if this ain't working, there ain't no reason to do it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Uh, yes. So,
And
but
so
there. Mhm.
go ahead.
Yeah, but there are, yeah, and the big change came at the time. There was a huge change when I got. But then small things has come along the way. I'm not, I get those hindrances come, and then I kind of learn from them. And sometimes I don't really know how to learn and what it is about. But so
The important thing for you to learn from the hindrances is that when they're in the mind, they're unsatisfying, they're unsatisfactory.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't think that there's much more to need to
No.
be done other than recognizing that this is unwholesome.
Yeah.
And again, as we've just spoken, a lot of meditators think that there is great value in rummaging through
Oh,
their bucket of crap.
okay. Oh, no, I
uh,
never wanted that, but it just came. The crap came and I didn't want it.
right. And now the new job is that when it does, we have to wake up to see that the crap is there. Number two, to investigate what's going on to make sure that this is in fact crap.
Yeah.
And number three, that's when the Buddha says, aha, I see you, crap. I know you for what you are. And by seeing the brat for what it is, that's already a new thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Already. That's a success. By being able to see that what we were doing was a bunch of crap. What a relief it is that I see that.
Yes.
So by seeing it, I'm not in it anymore.
Yeah, I don't have to do it anymore. I don't. Yeah,
You don't have to
exactly.
do it.
Just to realize that I have this choice. I don't have to do it, which I used to think I had to do this, and it should be like exactly that.
Right.
And
You had a job to do, that there was a problem to be solved.
Yes.
Now you recognize, oh no, the problem's the problem.
Yeah.
If I just stop having problems, then there'd be no problems.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And recognize that the hindrances is nothing but the problem making and solving system.
Yeah.
And we do that because we have fostered and enhanced and made big this world view that we should be solving problems. And so we need a new world view. And the new world view is, I don't need that kind of world view.
Yeah.
I don't need to see the world that way. The world is good. It's okay by it is. It's all right. It's satisfying and satisfactory.
Yeah.
And that all the unsatisfying and the unsatisfactory parts of it is because I don't have the skills to deal with it.
Yes.
And it's my lack of skill then that is the dissatisfaction.
Exactly. I used to, I remember how it was at that time. And that kind of also scared me because I when I didn't know how to do. But then that was also okay. I don't have to know what to do, everything and how to do, or it's fine too. So.
Well, you're touching on 2 points here. One is that in fact the amount of human knowledge that has been recorded and documented is so large and so overwhelming that no one person in the world is, in fact, they have to build bigger and bigger and bigger computers faster and faster with more stuff on them just to deal with the volume of information and data that the computers themselves are generating. All right. And what I mean by that is that when someone buys something on eBay, they couldn't have done that without the web. So now the computers are already doing it. And so the transactions, etc. So here's where I'm getting at. We have been trained from our childhood that you're supposed to know. And if you don't know, make a guess.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're supposed to struggle and do this.
Mm-hmm.
And very few of us are given the opportunity in school to say, hey, man, I don't know. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yes.
No, to say, hey, if you don't know, that's a bad thing. You got to go back and study your book again.
Yeah.
And somehow or another, then the book becomes our whole worldview. And we somehow should know how to handle everything.
Mm. Yeah.
And by knowing how to handle everything, that means that we have to have tons and tons of data and information that we, in fact, don't have.
Mm.
Okay? But basically, when we take that worldview off of it and the complexity, we can say, wait a minute, I have been developing 4 little skills: the skill of waking up and being here now, the skill of looking at what's going on right here and now, the effort that it takes to get the mind cleaned out and pure, and the 4th skill is the attitude, the right attitude that I can handle this, I can handle anything.
Mm.
If you have the attitude that you can handle anything, then you don't need any details.
Mm.
You can be completely ignorant into a situation and still handle it marvelously
Uh-huh. Yeah.
if you have the right skills. So we don't have to go around worrying, oh, do I know enough to be able to do this? No, you don't need anything except these few skills that we have.
Yeah.
Now here's
What
a
was the third one? What did you say about the third one?
right effort.
Yeah. Okay.
Right effort, that we have to put in the right amount of effort,
Yeah.
which in some cases would be the effort that it takes to listen to someone talk.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have to be able to listen to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes that takes effort
Okay.
um, in the here now. And this is what we're getting at is that we bring our own mind into tippy top shape, and we keep practicing doing that until we have the confidence and these other skills developed so that we can go out in the world and handle the world in a marvelous way without knowing very much. We already recognize that, yeah, the place is full of ignorance. I don't know what's going on.
Mm.
But if I have this set of skills, and one of the skills is the confidence that I need to be able to handle the situation. Okay. And so now let's add one more ingredient, because this seems to be the theme song of the month anyway for most of us. And that is, how do we handle the outside world?
Mm-hmm.
Because before we've been handling it from the way we feel,
Yeah.
which is if we're afraid, then we handle the world as if it were dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If we're on the make, then we handle the world as every item is an opportunity to
Mm.
be on the make with. All right. So
Yeah.
it depends like that. Okay. So now the new attitude that we have is, wait a minute, if I can be friendly and kind to myself finally for a change and relax,
Mm.
then that's the way that I'm going to treat the world, with kindness. I'm going to be friendly and relaxed. Friendly and relaxed with the confidence I can handle anything, even though I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I've started to experience this, and it works. It really
Okay.
does. Yeah.
All right. And so the next one then, first we've covered friendliness, which is called metta.
Mm.
Okay, being kind to other people, the way that we've learned to be kind to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is karuna, which actually is translated into compassion. But really, what we're talking about is investigation, to listen, to
Okay.
really understand what the other person is doing.
Uh-huh.
Okay, for empathy. So that means that in this here now, we're going to investigate enough to get all the information we need right now. so that ignorance is not quite as strong as it was, because now we're paying attention, we're gathering data.
Mm.
Okay, and then the next item on the list is mudita, which is known to be as sympathetic joy. And this one is a really important one for students to understand, but we need kind of, let us say, an assignment or someone to work with. So right now we don't have one because you haven't given one, but you've had it from time to time. But I do have students who have to deal, because they're young men, to deal with their family
Mm-hmm.
with karuna, mudita, upeka. And so, in one example, one guy is dealing with his mother with compassion, and another guy is dealing with his father with mudita.
Okay.
Okay, mudita means sympathetic joy.
Mm-hmm.
When I first heard about it, I heard about it from someone who didn't understand it at all. But now I know that this is very typical. That they think that mudita means that I can get my new joy from other people and their success.
Mm-hmm.
That's highly unreliable.
Yeah, very. Yes. Mm.
Highly unreliable. That
Mm.
basically what we're talking about in the other direction.
Mm.
That we have to have the joy built up through our practice
Yeah.
of satisfaction,
Mm.
and we have the right attitude that I can do this, so that we can keep delivering joy, let us say, to someone who's grumpy.
Mm. Yeah.
Now, normal, what will happen is you come to Mr. Grumpy and you give him some joy, and he gives Grumpy back.
Yes.
And maybe you give a little more
They
joy and
want
you get
grumpy.
more Grumpy back.
Yeah, because I think I remember when I used to do that, I didn't want joy. I wanted someone to fight with. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So now you know it from the other side. So this will be hopefully an easier lesson for you to learn from this side. And
Yeah.
that is that you now know that you have to have enough joy to
Mhm.
overcome Miss Grumpy,
Yeah.
who is intending to be grumpy, but she's
Yeah.
doing it mindlessly.
Yes.
So where we're doing this with full compassion and full knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
and so we intend and we unremittingly keep our joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unremittingly, we keep going at it. So
Yeah.
we do joy, he does grumpy. We do more joy, he does more grumpy. We do more joy, he does more grumpy. But now it's not quite so grumpy, and then we do more joy. And finally, he's swinging along with us because we've got
Yeah.
more oomph and power in our self-confidence and our joy than he does with his grumpy.
Yeah.
And believe me, grumpy is strong stuff. You know it too.
Yes.
And so this student is beginning to understand. Yeah, I've got to deal with my dad, Mr. Grumpy, with joy
Mm.
over and over again. I cannot continue just to slink away and say, "Oh, I'm a good Buddha boy. I'm going to go off and practice."
No.
No, we've got to. If you're going to really practice, let's practice this, because now his dad's the gym.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm.
Now we've
I've
got to
been
live.
doing that with my family, and it's quite very nice having contact with them nowadays. So it's been working just fine.
Well, I'm not sure about how to handle it with at great distance.
Hmm.
And when I mean great distance, I'm talking about both the other side of the world and also many years, because I haven't had much contact with my own family. But in this situation, he actually lives in the same house with
Uh-huh.
Mr. Grumpy Dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
And he has to put up with it when he watches politics. He gets really grumpy.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so it's up to the student then to have that unremitting joy.
Yeah.
That, yeah, he used to have only enough joy to take himself out of the situation, but now it's time to go in and keep that joy going in
Mhm.
the face of grumpy.
Yeah. I've been having a lot of practice with this, so in many situations. Uh, so it's kind of,
Well,
mm-hmm,
this is the real practice then of the Brahma Viharas. In fact, that's the way of looking at it is that our private practice to get our own mind straightened out.
mm,
We need both on the cushion and off the cushion and deal with the world.
yeah,
But then when we really do have the mind straightened out and fixed, the way we're going to deal with the world is with metta, karuna, mudita, and upeka.
mm,
That the vicissitudes of the world is not going to throw us off balance.
mm, yeah,
This is why I call upeka having sea legs.
yeah,
Have I told you
okay.
about this? Yeah, the old salt can go from one end of the boat to the other end of the boat and
Mm-hmm,
not have any events at all. Nothing happens.
mm,
But the landlubber, the one who is not familiar with how to walk on a ship when it's at sea, he's going to have a lot of events to get from one end of the ship to the other.
yeah. I
He's
think
going to
this
run
is,
into the wall. He's going to
mm,
throw overboard. He's going to heave overboard. He's going to have all
yeah,
kinds of events.
mm-hmm,
So
yeah,
sea legs or upekas when you can go into and have a conversation with Mr. Grumpy and
mm,
keep our sea legs
yeah.
so
I
that we
think that one is more difficult for me to actually be with people in that way, to be in a situation where, because I start questioning what am I doing here and I want to withdraw, I don't see the benefit of staying with it. But if I do stay,
then that is the time to leave. We have to make a choice. Am I going to
uh,
continue
uh-huh,
this exercise? Because this is exercise. This
yeah,
is right work. I mean, this is right effort. This is
mhm,
effort.
yeah, because yeah, when I start to see, I don't see the uh, partly because I don't know what to say, but when it doesn't work, when it doesn't go anywhere, you know.
Well, no, that's not the issue. The issue is when you lose your winner's attitude
Yeah,
and
exactly.
say that it's not worth the effort anymore, or that this is too much work. This is effort. That this
It,
is why one's effort and one's right attitude. It takes effort to get the right attitude, but the attitude really makes the work a lot easier.
yeah.
So keeping and maintaining one's right attitude that
Mm,
you can deal with Mr. Grumpy and you
yeah,
don't have to escape, that you can keep your joy.
yeah.
But
Hmm.
like I said, there but this is the skill that we're trying to develop. And so when do we come to our limit? You just recognized it. When I lose my mojo,
Yeah,
when I
exactly.
lose my
Yeah,
right attitude, when I
yeah,
don't think this is going anywhere,
yeah,
now's the time to take a hike and go off and get ourselves back
yeah.
into um, our own joy, our own pity, our
Okay.
own
Yeah,
sukha.
yeah.
But
Oh,
it ain't over yet.
no,
There's going to be round 44 coming up.
I, I think yes, but I think if it's only one person, it usually works quite well. It works in it. But if there are a
That
few
it's
or
a
many,
skilled master who can defeat an entire room full of grumpies.
mhm, yeah, yeah, because then it becomes. And where do I start? What one one has
The
to
way
have
to
some.
the way to start is one at a time to get
Yeah.
one grumpy ungrumpy, because that'll give you then the self-confidence that, hey, I can do this.
Hmm. Okay, that's helpful, because that's why how I started to think how to do it,
Right.
to
So in
actually.
that regard, if you've got several people who are grumpy, if you can divide them up, hey, can you come with me? I've got stuff I want to show you,
Yeah, yeah,
or and get them off so that you can get them
yeah,
ungrumpy. Now you have an ally. Now you can go back into that room full of grumps, and you've got two people that are not grumpy.
Yeah, exactly. I need to, I realized I need to do it in some way that, you know, that's going to work. So, okay, I
Well,
can.
getting grumpy with them is the old way, and it
Yeah,
don't.
yes, yeah, fighting. Yeah, I don't never do that anymore. I don't do it. I don't fight with people at all. So I don't even question them.
Okay. Well, this is the skill, or we can even think of it as a frame of reference as the strength of mind.
Hmm.
And the strength of mind is that we're not going to change our worldview. We're not going to change our attitude back to the old way, that I'm going to keep
Yeah,
my
yeah,
right attitude, my
yeah,
right view.
yeah. Okay.
And if I lose it, then it's time to walk away, to
Yeah.
leave.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because it's so painful for me to do the old ways nowadays. It's really painful, and I just cannot do it. So I just need to get back to get out of it and get back to where was I? You know. So
Right.
uh, that's a good thing to see. Uh, I
And
didn't see that
it
before.
requires sati. We have to keep investigating, how am I feeling right now
Yeah,
in the face of this grumpy?
yeah, exactly. That word is so funny. The grumpy. I think that's why I'm laughing, because it sounds funny.
Well, we need to lighten it up, because otherwise
Yeah,
we think it's all so serious and
yeah,
everything, to where this should be a very happy thing, you know? We'll
exactly.
just call them grumpy. We don't have to call them violent. That's too much.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Hmm. Now I see. Now I see this whole thing. Yeah.
Excellent.
Hmm.
Excellent.
Hmm. Yeah.
So we started with boredom, and we wound up with how to defeat grumpy.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there. Then I've got a couple of other callers coming, so I'm really glad that we talked about this, and I really always enjoy talking to you. You're such a joy.
I, I have to say the same.
All right. Well,
Thank
we'll
you
see
so
you
much.
later.
Yes.
Hmm.
Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.